All sports, all the time.
There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered. Legends never die.
This is the Spoken Podcast.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
I'm your host, Lance Twidwell.
Man, that kid, he can ball, man. He can ball.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
Patrick freaking Mahomes, baby!
Let's talk some sports, because that's what we're here to do.
You are tuned in to The Spoken.
This is the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell, here inside the Starcade Media Studios with my guy, Trevor Twidwell.
What's good?
Episode 314, that is right, 314 is in full swing, full motion. We're so happy to be here with you and for you to be here with us. Whether you were live streaming, podcasting, or YouTube, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us in this time as we have another awesome show for you guys today. It is back-to-back weeks that we are here for you guys today. So, Trev, I think we, a little like golf clap or, one of those like, those what do they call those shows that they do the spoken
like
word
slam
thing?
poetry,
yeah, slam poetry. Beep, bop, boop. Jessica's dead.
Don't let it
Julia,
drop.
Rob, hurts. Yes, we're back-to-back weeks. I feel like this is something to celebrate because we're so happy to be here with you guys. And again, thank you for being here with us. If you guys have not already done it, we would very much appreciate it so much if you guys would go to our YouTube side of things, because that is where we're trying to grow things. We're inching closer to 600 subscribers. Yes, I know that is nothing. I'm sure your little cousin probably has more subscribers than that on YouTube, but little cousin's about to get the work because, guys, we are coming for it, man. We are trying to get to that 1,000 mark. So if you guys would be so kind, go to YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, hit the like button. All those buttons are fun. They help us out big time, but the biggest one that helps us, the one we want you to push the most and the most consistently, is the comment button, because we want you guys to be a part of this show. We want you guys to feel like you're a part of the show, because you literally are. We want you to feel like everything that we're doing here, it's as if we're having a conversation together. We know that there's so many shows out there from the national level all the way down to us where it feels like they're just talking at you. We want you to talk with us. It is a community-driven show. It is an interactive show. That is what we do here every single time we're on air. So don't ever feel like it's something we're just doing where we just want you guys to hear our opinion. We value yours as well. We want to hear you guys because that is where we learn as well. That's where we really get a gauge and a temperature of where you guys stand on things. And if we differentiate or we see things very, very common. I mean, shit, just last week, we were running those polls about the wide receiver, offensive line, defensive line rooms.
Yeah.
How interesting were those conversations, man? Because it felt like it was so one way or the other. It felt like, man, there were some things we vehemently agreed on as a whole class, if you will.
Some people were right, some people were wrong.
Yeah, we were right all three times. So,
exactly.
It just, that is what makes, I think, the show so much more interesting. So I say all that just to say, if you would be so kind, guys, go hit us up on YouTube and do all those things for us, and we very much appreciate that forever and ever. So that is where I'll leave that, because I want to get right to this stuff, Trevor. So without further, well, first of all, I'm rude as hell. How the hell are you doing, Trevor? How's your week been, man? We're getting ready for your birthday. Big party tonight, man. Really looking forward to that as well. Trevor and I have back-to-back parties. We had our nephew's party last night.
Yeah.
And now we got to recover and do this all over again tonight with Trev. So I now hand it over to you, man. How you doing?
Good, man. Good. Another trip around the sun. 36, in fact. So getting up there, man.
Yeah. Drinking a lot more water
we old,
this time.
Bruh. We old.
We old as shit, bruh.
So yeah, no, I mean, it's I feel good. I feel great. I feel wonderful. You know what I mean?
Feel good.
Quote the great Bill Murray from What About Bob? No, man, it's I feel very good today. Feel vital. I woke up with an allergy headache, but I've taken some medicine, so I'm feeling
a headache too. All right.
But yeah, it's a different kind of headache. No, man, excited to talk some ball. Excited for this. I mean, when I know my birthday is around my birthday time, I know football and I know training camp's right around the corner, about to kick off.
Yep.
So that's always an exciting time. Summertime is always fun. Getting prepared to get my my summer body right to go swim in the pool with the kiddos. But yeah, gonna do a little kickback at the pad today for the birthday, and yeah, man, gonna be 36, and everything's going good. Ready for some football. That's about it, bro.
All right, great pubes. We're here to have a good show, man. So Well, that's not what my mom said. Her girl's boy. Yeah. So anyway, we're so excited to talk about some stuff because, like I said, we have there's a real strong possibility that we do have our guy, a real close friend of ours, Mike Williams from All Chiefed Up. You guys already know who he is, man. Him and Steve do an incredible job over there. They're one of the best shows in the Chiefs community. I would say outside of Chief Concerns, probably the most consistent when it comes to quality, when it comes to honesty, when it comes to everything all together. They are fantastic at what they do. We're hoping to get Mike in today. He's a busy guy, so we may not be able to catch him. We don't know yet or not, but we are very much hoping that Mike will jump in with us. I got a lot of questions for my guy Mikey, so hopefully we'll get him in. But without further ado, Trevor, it is time for Lance Rants. You guys are ready to see exactly what I've been telling you guys all along is going to happen, and what several other people that are far more connected than I am have been saying for quite some time without actually saying it out loud, which is where we do differentiate because I have been saying it out loud. The Chiefs and Royals are going to be moving to Kansas in the very near future. This has been something that I have been very confident about for well over a year now that we know what has gone on in Kansas and what has not been going on in Missouri. We know that this was something that started last year in April, if I'm not mistaken, when the voters came out or the voting came out for the renovations at Arrowhead and the Royals to get a downtown ballpark. And we don't have to replay all of it, but we do know that was vehemently voted down by the Jackson County community. And we knew also, well, at least some of us did, we knew what that meant moving forward, that neither team was going to be playing on the Missouri side of things anymore. Ideally, I think it would be great, just on this, as a side note, Trevor and I both have echoed this several times over the last 12, 13 months. Ideally, it would be great to have a downtown baseball stadium.
Yeah, man.
Because that is so great for it's such a revenue generator for the community and for the city, but it's also just aesthetically pleasing. When you're at it, I've been to downtown ballparks. I've been to Coors Field. I've been to Busch Stadium. I've been to places like that in the Midwest area. And I cannot tell you guys just how beautiful it is. You get caught up in the landscape of it, the backdrops, things like that. And I always think of like Pittsburgh's, they have the bridge behind in right field. Like, it's such an aesthetically pleasing thing. And I've always wanted that here in Kansas City because we have these isolated stadiums over there, the Truman Sports Complex. So that's always been something I wanted to see. But now, because of the fact that Mayor Q and Frank White and these other people have done everything they can to ruin it and ruin this situation of having a downtown ballpark, we are now sitting here looking at something that's going to be taking place in the very near future, and that is, and I want to start here, the Royals moving over into the Leawood/South Overland Park area. This is according to Jackson Kurtz, and we'll throw the clip up in just a second, Trevor, but this is just the starting quotes from this article that came out just yesterday. Via Jackson Kurtz at KMBC 9, quote, the Kansas City Royals confirmed Wednesday that an affiliate purchased the mortgage on the Hesperia campus in Overland Park. However, the statement also says the team has not selected a stadium location. And we can throw this clip up here real quick. That is the actual quote from the affiliates, if you will, the Royals. We have not yet decided on a site, and any assertion to the contrary is inaccurate, the Royals said in part. As part of our ongoing efforts, we have negotiated with made investments in multiple potential sites, both in Missouri and in Kansas. One of these investments was the acquisition by an affiliate of the Royals of the mortgage of Hesperia campus through an arm's-length bidding process, end quote. In other words, the Royals spent $164 million on a campus that for the better part of the last 2 decades has been nothing. In other words, the Royals just spent $164 million on their next stadium location because the Royals and anybody else with 2 brain cells to rub against themselves would not spend $164 million on something that may or may not be where they're going to be putting their new stadium. Because $164 million is a fuck ton of money. So let's go ahead and slide through the bullshit real quick because the Royals are saving face in all of this. But we all know what affiliates really mean. The Royals bought this area. The Royals bought this campus. And that is where the Royals are going to be playing baseball because of the fact that Missouri botched this entire situation. Their owner, John Sherman, is a Kansas City, Missouri native. He was born and raised in Kansas City. Multi-billionaire, a guy that spends all kinds of money, stupid FU type money, on charities in Kansas City, sends kids to college every single year. This is a good human being. It's very rare to find somebody that has this kind of money and this kind of power that's also a very good person and doesn't forget where they come from. And this is a very involved man in this city. He wanted so badly to be the one that could put a downtown ballpark into this city. And they told him no. So with that, now comes the repercussions of them actually going into, I'll be honest with you guys, probably a better area to begin with in the Leawood/Overland Park area, where they can now go and create basically what the Atlanta Braves did down there in Atlanta, which isn't even in Atlanta. It's called the Battery. It's basically the suburb of Atlanta. That is what Overland Park is to Kansas City, which is a high uptown, or high upkept, I should say, that's even a word, area, a suburb of Kansas City.
It'd be that much more now.
And exactly. And here's the biggest kicker of it all. Over 50% of the season ticket holders for the Royals live within a 5-mile radius of this new location. You cannot tell me that is a coincidence.
Strategic, for sure.
It's very strategic. And it separates themselves completely from wherever the Chiefs are going to be. And speaking of the Chiefs, according to our sweet little buddy, Mike Florio, quote, "The clock is ticking on a potential Chiefs move from any Kansas City, from one Kansas City to the other. Matthew Kelly of the Kansas City Star reports that Kansas may pull its new stadium offer off the table on June 30th. House Speaker Don Hawkins told Kelly he doesn't want to extend the expiration date for the Chiefs or MLB's Royals. Quote, I think if they want to get it done, they still got time to get it done," Hawkins said. Hawkins doesn't want to extend the deadline because doing so gives the Chiefs and Royals leverage in their ongoing efforts to get stadium solutions in Missouri. And if we can throw that quote up there real quick, this is what I want to focus on the most, guys. This quote right here. "If one of them wants to, or both wants to come to Kansas, we'd love to have them," Hawkins told Kelly. Quote, "We have the tools."
Hell yeah.
And this is the rest of Florio's speech, if you will. "The Chiefs may prefer at this point a new stadium, given that owner Clark Hunt and team president, according to according to Mark Down, envision a dome for the Chiefs. As with other open-air teams looking for new stadiums, a dome opens the door to events throughout the year. And Hunt has said that he'd like the Chiefs to host a Super Bowl. It's part of the loose, unofficial, quote, quid pro quo for cold weather cities that build dome stadiums with significant taxpayer money. However it plays out, Donovan realizes that that Kansas isn't bluffing. Quote, hypothetically, as you're trying to figure out how to put a deal together, if you're on either side of the table, you look at the deadlines, Donovan said, per Taylor. That's Nate Taylor. That's where this report came from, The Athletic. That June 30th, the deadline is real. While that may indeed be a statement of fact, it's also a clear warning to Missouri that time is running out in keeping Arrowhead Stadium with the Chiefs. The Chiefs' current lease runs through 2030 season, which means they can make a short trek from Kansas City, Missouri to Kansas as soon as 2031. So the reason I'm giving you guys all this information is I'm trying to prepare you guys for what is the reality. Yes, the June 30th deadline is what it is, and I do not believe that Kansas is going to budge from that. But what I do believe is that now, because everyone's question is, what's taking so long? We have to understand the bigger picture in all this, guys, because the Chiefs, although it is a business, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more today as well, because I have a take on a certain roster position. It is a business, but we have to understand, guys, that the focus for the Chiefs over the last couple of years or last several years has been being in the Super Bowl and going and winning Super Bowls and making sure that has been their primary focus, because they haven't been in a place where they were going to be moving anytime soon. Now that it's within a 5-6 year radius, it is becoming more of a paramount priority. And we know that this is also a very tough decision for Clark Hunt and himself, because this is, let's be real, guys, for the last 50 years, he has been attending games, Chiefs games, in a stadium his father built with his own hands. So there's a lot of sentimental value in this. But also, now that the Chiefs finally have an offseason to really focus on this, we are now seeing that effort being put forth. We've heard from Kansas treasurers talk about how they're hearing more and more from the Chiefs as the last couple months have gone on, at an uptick that was never before seen. They know this deadline is real. Mark Donovan's confirmed that. The Chiefs have confirmed that. And I think it's very obvious now they know that they got to get something done and put in place before that June 30th deadline, which I am fully expecting. And when I talk about the separation between the Royals and the Chiefs, what I mean by that is the Royals and Chiefs have been wanting to disband from being neighbors for quite some time. And I know there was the bad mix or the bad batch of cement they talked about at Truman Sports Complex as a reason to get out and things of that nature. But the biggest reason for both teams wanting to get out, guys, is marketability, is having opportunity. You want to separate yourself so you guys can have your own entities, your own areas of dominance. And the Royals being over there in the Overland Park area is such a slam dunk. Yes, a downtown ballpark would make so much more sense, but that's the next best thing. And for the Chiefs, you could literally just go throw them into a crater somewhere and they're gonna succeed. But knowing that it's gonna more than likely be in the Bonner Springs or the Kansas City, Kansas area right next to the Legends, those areas are so filled with opportunities, untapped opportunities. How do we know this? Okay, for instance, I know I'm really running on this, but I have one more point I want to make, and I want to get Trevor's thoughts on this. I want to get your guys' thoughts on this as well. So definitely get in the chat and let me know what you guys are thinking about these new moves that are going to happen. Let me make that very clear. The Chiefs and Royals are going to be moving to Kansas in the very near future. This will be confirmed in the next few weeks, if not earlier. Kansas Speedway. Okay, we all know how that came about. When that was just, there was nothing out there. It was just land. Kansas Speedway became a reality because of what? Star bonds. That is exactly what the Chiefs and Royals are banking on. And this is the part when I wanted to emphasize on the quote, we have the tools in Kansas. The tools are star bonds. They can and will pay for both stadiums.
No front the money. Yep.
Yes, and what the Speedway and how I know this can be done is the Speedway and how fucking expensive that was to put together was all star bonds. And guess what happened with that stadium, guys? It got paid off 7 years early. Think about how insane that is. A stadium that immaculate, that is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, if not more, got paid off in 7 years early, 7 years earlier than where they were expected to pay it off. The Chiefs are not stupid. The Royals are not stupid. They see the writing on the wall. Jackson County turned them down for what they both wanted, or what they alleged to want. I think all along we knew, guys, the Chiefs did not want to renovate that stadium because we heard Mark Donovan talk about it at great lengths about how Raytown is just simply not an area that they can build an attraction center around the stadium, which is what they wanted to do. You even saw it in that half-assed proposal they put together. They knew they wanted to have a dome. This has now been confirmed by Nate Taylor just last night, I believe, when he put that new report out there, that the Chiefs have been wanting a dome, guys, because what they want is more than just for the football side of things to keep the game a little bit more of a quality game, because I've always believed every stadium should have some sort of a dome or a roof or something like that, a retractable roof, just to help the quality of the game if there's really bad weather, because I hate when weather dictates a game, but I digress on that. They've wanted that for also attractions year-round, because we know at Arrowhead Stadium, it's a great place to go and do a country venue. You know, it's great for any type of music they do. They do a lot of country shows, that's the reason I say that, but it's like summertime shows. You know, everybody goes out there, and it's a great time. But then it gets cold out here, and it snows, and it's sleet, and it's rainy, and it's gross, and everybody doesn't want to go to shows like that. They can't do shows like that. You have a dome, you can do that whenever you want. And Clark Hunt has been quoted as saying he wants to host a Super Bowl. The only way that's going to even be remotely possible is if they have a dome or a retractable roof. So that is why this is going to happen, guys. And the biggest point of it all is they don't have to pay shit. It's coming out of the sales tax. It's coming out of what we spend, and the taxes for the Kansas taxpayer is not going to go up. So it's ideal for everybody for this to happen. I know the tradition and things of that nature, guys, is uncomfortable to part with, but guys, the rules are moving regardless. They've already talked about it for years now. They're not renovating the K. John Sherman was moving them out of there, and he met his wife at that stadium. That's how much that place means to him, and he's still blowing the bitch up. So let's be real here. Like, we have to look at the bigger picture. We have to see what is actually going to be the best thing for everybody included. And it is clear as day, moving to the Kansas side of things is going to be the best thing for everybody. So, Trev, now that you've seen and heard all this stuff, we know the deadline's June 30th. Where do you stand on this? I mean, do you believe like I do that this is just a foregone conclusion? We're just waiting for when we hear the news that the Chiefs and Royals have signed these contracts, these proposals with the state of Kansas. Starbond's going to affect in X amount of years, and boom, here we go. Start breaking ground the next year or two.
Yeah, I mean, I think me and you have been pretty confident this whole way through this whole process, especially when everything got declined with those faux offers. Those pseudo offers that the city, Jackson County City was putting forth for the people. Obviously, the people didn't want that, and it makes sense because it wasn't good offers. They felt like they were phony offers to begin with, and they kind of wanted it to fail, at least for the Chiefs side of things. So I think we've always kind of been on the side that the Chiefs for sure were going to be in Kansas. But with Sherman being very adamant about what he's been 10 toes down this whole time about he will do what it takes to better this, with the betterment for the franchise and the team, what he thinks is better location wise, and getting out of the area that it's in. It's just there's just so many better opportunities out there, and I think the new location idea and with the traction that's gaining is it's only going to be good for the team, and it's only going to be good for the fan base. I think, in my opinion, like you said, because it kind of cuts the umbilical cord for both teams, kind of gives them their own section. No more no more living together, I guess you should say, because they've been neighbors for such a long time, and it's kind of ran its course.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be good for both teams, and I do believe that this is going to happen. I think this is the only thing that's really been gaining traction and grown legs. No other discussion, nothing else has really gained any traction, other than the Kansas stuff. So I think where there's smoke, there's fire. And I think being on this side, hearing the rumblings on this side, it's made a lot of sense, and it's the only thing that's really picked up any steam as far as where these teams' futures reside. So yeah, man, I think this is something that's good for both sides. I think it's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way, obviously, because change is always uncomfortable, especially for those on the Missouri side who have always had the teams. But I mean, like you said, though, a majority of the season ticket holders for the Royals reside on the Kansas side. And I believe it's the same for the Chiefs as well. I think the majority of the season ticket holders for the Chiefs reside on the Kansas side as well.
Right.
So a lot of money, for the Chiefs and the Royals franchises on the Kansas side of things. So, teams tend to follow that where that leads. And listen, man, it's a business. That they want success. They're going to follow where the opportunities are. And I think there's a lot of opportunity, like you said, with the Speedway stuff and the casino and how it's really blowing up over here on our side of things. It's a great opportunity. There's a lot of space, great crowds of people. I mean, we got Cell32 Alt in the chat saying that nobody out there really goes to Kansas Speedway or Bones games. It's the Monarchs games. It's not the T-Bones. Well, just to address that, when you say out there, you mean out here because we live here. And let me just tell you that it couldn't be more false. I was just out at the Legends last night, and there was games going on, and their parking was not great because there was a shit ton of people out there at the game. So that's just not true. I mean, the Speedway is packed out all the time. It's
like
insane.
3 days before the race even starts.
Yeah, so we live out here, so we know. Just to clarify that, that's false. But yeah, I mean, there's a shit ton of people out there that go to these. You can go to the Hollywood Casino alone. People are in there sports betting like crazy because it's one of the few places you can actually sports bet.
Sporting games are insane.
Yeah, I mean, and sporting games are a fucking blast.
Yeah, dude.
It's a great stadium, great spot, great location. I mean, you add the Chiefs in this, and within that, radius of that location. I mean, it's just going to be like I told you, man, on the show several times. Like I think Kansas can definitely build a sports mecca out here. I mean, with professional soccer, NASCAR, professional football, baseball, minor league baseball. I mean, it's so. I mean, all we need is like a hockey team and an NBA team, and we would be. God. I mean, there would be no other place in the country that would have what we would have.
Right.
In one state.
Right.
So, as far as like. I mean, obviously, like California and Florida, they have it ridiculous. Those are two separate countries, basically. But especially in the Midwest, to have something that the Kansas could possibly be building here is pretty unheard of. And I'm excited, man, to say the least. Like I think I think this would be a great thing for both sides of the fans, and I think it would create more space and opportunity for the two separate franchises to hit a new stride for, not only their business ideas and their growth, but just for their product overall, and bringing in, because the Royals seem to be the trajectory for the Royals is going up with the new star potential and their players they have right now, some young talent, and then obviously the Chiefs being who they are right now. Obviously, this wouldn't happen like within the next 8 to 10 years, most likely within the next decade. But I think it's the right move, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think the Kansas stuff is the only thing, like I said, that has gained any traction, any kind of steam with these conversations. And listen, man, change is inevitable, and it's going to make some people uncomfortable. It's going to make some people really happy. It is what it is.
Well, I think the biggest, like I said, I think the biggest issue that a lot of people have is change.
Yeah.
And that's honestly, I actually understand that, being somebody who's from this area, because we are not accustomed to that out here. And that is something you and I think we had to unlearn a little bit, was, being afraid of change and embracing it, quite frankly.
We got Max Watson in the chat says, the only way I see the Royals moving to Kansas in a way that makes sense is if it's a downtown stadium that's a part of greater downtown KCK revitalization upper development project.
I mean, yes, that would be something that we would like.
That's what we want.
But see, John Sherman's looking at it from a perspective. Yes, I would obviously love that.
Yeah.
But John Sherman is looking at this also from a perspective of location matters so much to where you put a team. So if you're putting your team in, let's say, downtown KCK, sure, you're still going to probably draw people from the Missouri side and things like that, of course, because it's right across the highway. But he also understands that there is a significant difference between downtown KCK and KCMO.
Yeah.
And the attraction of going to downtown KCMO with all the things over there, the amenities they have in downtown KCMO, is significantly different than downtown KCK. Now, you could say that would be the developing push they would need, like you said, to helping grow that area. But is John Sherman wanting that to be the igniter, or does he want to go to an area that's already kind of established? Because if you go to 119th and Knoll, you have all that stuff over there as well. That's Johnson County, dude. That's one of the richest counties in this country. So that is a nice little igniter for him already. And again, this does matter. And that's why it's no coincidence. This is the next place they went to after they got shut down for downtown KCMO. All of the season ticket holders live so close to that. You want to make it as convenient as possible for the ones that have already given you their money, the ones you know are going to be dedicated to this team. That is why I believe this is going to be the move. And yes, in my opinion, it would be awesome to have a downtown KCK stadium. But that would take years upon years for that to really start to develop into something that's a real revenue stream for the Royals and the surrounding area, as opposed to a downtown KCMO or 119th and Knoll, which are already established in revenue streams. That's why I don't think that's going to happen.
Sarah73 in the chat says, is the Legends where Pat and Travis's is putting their restaurant? No, that's going to be at the Lowe's Hotel.
Yes.
Downtown. I think it's going to be connected to the Lowe's Hotel, which is a great location. I mean,
it's an amazing location.
That's going to make stupid money.
Now, I will say this. To this point, though, they have said they would be open-minded to chaining it. So there could be that possibility of it going to the Kansas side.
These guys, man,
they're killing it, man. 1587 Steakhouse, is that what it's called?
They don't need the money, man. Like, what are they? I love it.
Yeah, they're doing this for fun at this point. Yeah. But no, it will be at the Lowe's, Lowe's Hotel. That's, I think, if we were to be honest here, that's probably the best area for them to put that restaurant.
The traffic. I mean, that's the fancy hotel that people stay at, man. I think that's where Drake stayed when he was here. So like that's the spot where for sure.
But this is what I'm just trying to prepare you guys for this. This is no longer a pipe dream. This is no longer a theory. This is no longer a suggestion. This is now the reality of the situation, guys. When Missouri voted that down, it was over. Yes, they're having these quote-unquote special sessions. You know what that's called? That's called saving face. Mayor Q is saying all these things to make it sound, because he has to present it in a way that keeps people optimistic. But guys, the voting is what speaks the loudest. And Jackson County didn't want to pay for those things, even though nonsensically they didn't pay attention to the fact that it didn't really change what they were paying already in taxes. Regardless, they did it. And there's that whole activist movement of people like, oh, I'm not helping a billionaire. Okay, well, you clearly don't understand business because you're doing that every day when you go to work.
Yeah,
or you go to
McDonald's.
Yes, exactly. Like you guys are helping billionaires every single day and you don't even realize it. So you're going to sit here and get self-righteous in this moment when it comes to your own city?
Yes.
Pretty fucking stupid. But I appreciate it because it's going to help us now on the Kansas side. And I don't want to make this into a state versus state thing. But the point is that the opportunity was already there. I don't want to hear about special sessions. I don't want to hear about, doing anything else now. What happened a year ago is what matters the most. And both teams said, okay, that was your choice. We were willing to do this. The Chiefs were willing to spend, or Clark Hunt was willing to spend $500 million of his own money. And now he's going to spend $0 million of his money. And that's going to be a win for him. It's going to be a win for Kansas because Kansas has never had an opportunity even close to having one of these pro teams, let alone both of them. But that's about to be the reality. And I just hope that everyone can embrace that and understand that because I've heard a lot of people say, oh, I'm no longer going to be a fan. Okay, well, I don't believe you, first of all. But second of all, it's literally going to be about a 20 to 25 minute difference for both teams from where they're at right now. It's all highway. It's still going to be in our region. It could be far worse, guys. Nashville could have gotten the Royals. The Chiefs could have went to San Antonio or some shit. Like, it could be way worse, trust me when I say, than going just about 20 minutes down I-70 or down 435. It could have been much, much worse, guys. So I want to leave it there unless anybody has any other takes they want to bring up about this, any questions about it, we can get and speak it. But I wanted to get another topic that I presented on Twitter. It's honestly like show fodder stuff. It's kind of low hanging fruit, but I wanted to get this list out there now before the season started to kind of give you guys an idea of where I stand with the quarterback play because I feel like the league right now is so top heavy with quarterbacks. Now, obviously, if Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, guys like that, Caleb Williams takes a big step up. If those guys start to play really good football, then I think the tilt starts to go back into the balance of having a very good overall league of quarterback play. But right now, it's very top heavy. I think there's about 12 quarterbacks in this league that I would consider top quality quarterbacks. Everybody else is very average to below average. And if we can put that list up there real quick, Trevor, my top 10 quarterbacks going into 2025. So it's no shock at the top 3 to 4. I think everybody kind of understands that's just how it's going to go. You could debate, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and how they go, where they rank in that. Yep. This is where I stand on it. Josh Allen, the reason I have him above Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow is because of the fact that there is not another quarterback in this league outside of Patrick Mahomes to me that plays the quarterback position better when it comes to being able to do everything. I think that Josh Allen has an elite arm and elite legs. There's no other quarterback in the league outside of Patrick Mahomes that can say that. I know that Patrick isn't a world beater at running, but he makes I think that Patrick Mahomes is the best situational runner of all quarterbacks in the league.
I mean, doesn't he lead the postseason in rushing since he's been a
probably? Yeah, we have to look that up, but
since
probably
he's been the starting quarterback for the Chiefs.
Yeah, Patrick makes key plays with his feet, and that's why I think he's an elite running quarterback, even though he doesn't put up the numbers of a Lamar Jackson or guys like that. It's situational that I look at. Lamar Jackson, obviously 2-time MVP, hasn't had the greatest success in the playoffs, but this dude is an absolute phenom. There's no question about it. Lamar is an elite quarterback in this league. I don't think all of his playoff jury is his fault per se. I think some of it is. He's had some really bad performances earlier in his career, but I think he's also played well at times, good enough to where I can give him his credit. The reason I have Joe Burrow at 4 is that Joe Burrow is one of the best throwing quarterbacks in the league. It's not even close. Maybe the most accurate quarterback in the league. He's unbelievably great at pinpointing the ball. The problem for Joe, though, and the reason I have him at 4 is because of the fact that he is, let's be real, guys, I think there is a little bit of an overrated stench on Joe Burrow. I think he gets a lot of credit for things that didn't really go the way I think people think it did. If we're being honest here, he's only had 2 seasons that are really something to really pay attention to. Because outside of that, they've finished 3rd or 4th in the division, have missed the playoffs entirely, or he's been injured. Like, there's not a lot to really go off of Joe Burrow's career outside of maybe a couple seasons. He's still young. He's in his mid to late 20s. I think he's like 27 or 28 now. No, he's 28 now. He's 20. He'll be actually.
Look, health is a factor too.
It is.
I mean, you can't. That is a knock on his career.
Yeah.
He has an inability to stay healthy. He's had good offensive lines. He's had some bad offensive lines as well. But this is football, man. Everybody's out there taking hits. Lamar is voluntarily taking hits. You know, they're still able to maintain his. But look, everybody's body holds up differently. But I think a big knock on Joe Burrow is his inability to be available a lot of times too. That's definitely a knock on his career, man.
Yeah, I agree. And number 5, I will die on this hill forever. I have been the biggest Matthew Stafford fan and apologist. Yes, because there are very few quarterbacks in this league right now that are as talented as Matt Stafford and have been as successful as Matt Stafford. People don't realize how successful Matt Stafford has been in his career.
Dude, the numbers are.
The man has got almost 60,000 career passing yards, over 350 touchdowns. Has won a Super Bowl and was awesome in that.
Immediately got plugged into a team and went and won a Super Bowl.
Yes,
like
had one of the best seasons.
Dude.
He had one of the best playoff runs of all time in that run.
It was a tough Super Bowl to watch.
Yes,
but still, two good defenses going at it. Yeah.
And so I don't want to harp too much on Matt Stafford on that. I think that a lot of people have him in their top 10. I have him way up there because, like I said, I think he's very underrated for what he is and what he's been for his majority of his career. Because, guys, he was carrying that Lions team to multiple playoff runs, and those teams were terrible.
Well, you also think he's one of the few active Hall of Fame players playing right now.
100%, yes.
There's someone disagree with that. Someone agree, but I think more would disagree with it.
I would love to hear the case why Matt Stafford's not a Hall of Fame.
At this point, man, the guy just continues. I mean, another guy that plays hurt and plays incredibly well when hurt, and his Iron Man abilities has been.
Well, let me ask you, just to dive on this real quick.
Suffered 90% of his career in Detroit. So.
Let me put this out there real quick. If Matt Stafford isn't a Hall of Famer, why is Drew Brees?
Dude, you're not.
You know what I mean?
Listen, I'm not truly there yet, but I do agree that he probably will be by the end of his career.
Yeah, because my point is, at 33, 34, 35 years old, Drew Brees and Matt Stafford are almost on the exact same trajectory.
Yeah.
Statistically and everything, and they both have won an MVP, or both have won a Super Bowl, never won an MVP.
And let's be honest, we all know who's more talented between the two.
Yeah, it's not even close. It's not even close.
Arm talent wise, it's not even close.
Yeah, and I was we were both big Drew Brees guys. He was a statistician. Dude, he had been with motherfucker every year, 4,700 yards.
You need a guy that's going to go out there and deliver a play when you need it.
Yeah.
The dude's going to put the ball in the money where it needs to be.
Now, I know it gets controversial after that. Well, it probably already got controversial, but number 6, Dak Prescott. Now, I know a lot of people do not like Dak Prescott. I'm actually a big fan of Dak Prescott.
You know, I
think
Dak,
this dude is if he played it's a lot like Tony Romo. If he would have played anywhere else, I think the majority of people would look at him so much differently for what he actually is. Dak Prescott is a dude that, when given the opportunity, puts up numbers better than almost any quarterback in the league.
Freak athlete, man.
Yes.
He's a freak athlete.
And I will say this, the one knock he does have is something Trevor mentioned about Burrow, is injuries. Now, he's had one freak injury, the leg, the snapped ankle.
Yeah.
That's something that doesn't just happen. That's something I'm not going to hold against him. That was a freak play. But, he's had like a calf strain here or there that cost him some games. The finger injury cost him some games. He's had some stuff. So this is why he falls a little bit further down my list. But when it comes to healthy Dak Prescott, there are maybe a handful of quarterbacks in this league better than him.
Yep.
And I will die on that hill. That dude has had horrific defenses, injury-prone players in his offensive line, and he has still put up massive numbers and has won and gone to the playoffs a number of times in his career, guys, with the most pressure of probably any quarterback in the league. Because when you're the Cowboys quarterback, you are the most viewed and talked about player in the league, outside of Patrick Mahomes. So that is why the expectations and the reality and everything he deals with every single day, to still go out there, be a leader like he is, and perform like he does, he's had some downfalls, but guys, let's be real.
I was going to say, his biggest issues probably are less about his injuries, more about his squandered moments in the playoffs.
And that's fair. But if you look at every quarterback outside of Patrick Mahomes on this list, they have all either never had playoff success, or have failed miserably.
There's a guy that's not even on this list that we can talk about who's extremely talented, but you can expect nothing will come postseason with Justin Herbert.
Yes. So, why do you think he's on my top 10?
Some people are going to say talent-wise, I think talent-wise he should be on this list for sure, but the guy is just not a winner.
This list would look a lot different if it was all just based on talent. You know what I mean? It would look a lot different.
For sure.
Jalen Hurts got in my top 10. He was not in my top 10 originally, but because of what, guys, at some point you have to pay respect to where respect is due. Jalen Hurts has now helped lead the Eagles to 2 Super Bowls.
Undeniable, dude.
And has played unreal in both Super Bowls.
Absolutely.
He has been an absolute animal in the biggest games of his career. And we all talk about it. What do we base greatness off of? What you do in the biggest moments. Jalen Hurts has been unbelievably great.
He's very inconsistent, but when it comes to it and you need him the most, the dude's numbers are stupid.
And this is coming from a Chiefs fan that has sit here in depression and watched the Eagles clap the Chiefs' cheeks for 4 quarters just 5-6 months ago. But I have to give credit to where credit's due, guys. Jalen Hurts was
awesome.
unbelievable both games.
He's awesome. Yep.
He was unbelievable.
And he's a very likable guy, man.
Yes.
He's a humble dude.
What's the not to love about Jalen
Sometimes
Hurts?
a little cringy how humble he tries to be.
Well, and he sounds like an R&B singer, too.
Yeah,
but, you know, I was just trying
But listen, dude, likable guy, bro.
He's like making love without microphone
leader.
and shit.
Good leader, bro. Doesn't get mouthy, doesn't say stupid shit.
No.
You gotta love it.
So, yeah, he's easily in my top 10 now. Jared Goff falls right after because Jared Goff is also a quarterback that has had surprisingly a lot of success in his career. And Jared Goff is a lot like Joe Burrow, where he is not the athlete of a lot of these other quarterbacks, but goddamn can Jared Goff throw the football. That dude is an accurate quarterback in this league. Now, I will say this. Jared Goff has been the beneficiary of playing for two teams that knew how to build offensive lines and have great offensive schemes.
Yeah.
Let's be real. With Sean McVay and then Ben Johnson as your offensive coordinator / head coach guys, that is a lot to benefit off of. And having those offensive lines like he's had with the talent he's had around him. But you cannot knock a guy for being able to maximize what he's been given, because Patrick Mahomes did the same thing.
Sure.
Patrick Mahomes walked into a greatest situation imaginable and capitalized off of it. So I'm not going to knock Jared Goff for having awesome players around him.
He's an extremely accurate thrower of the
Yes.
football, too. I'll give him that.
He's
But
been very consistent in
I'm
his
just
career
not a
when it comes
Goff
to
guy by any means.
I get it, but
I
I
would
don't
probably
think
have
the name-
Herbert in here before I'd had Goff.
See, that okay,
I get
that's a
I
talent thing. That's a talent thing.
That's just kind of where my hang up is, though.
But you can't debate. You
Jared
can't debate
Goff
who's
is
the better
just
playoff quarterback.
so vanilla, dude.
But you can't debate who's the better playoff quarterback.
Oh, without
It's not
question.
debatable. That's what
Without
I'm talking
question.
about,
Yeah, he's a clutch performer,
Yes.
too. We've seen him.
Yes.
Dude, we've seen him go toe-to-toe with prime Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
And
Now,
that
the Chiefs had
epic
ass
shootout.
defense, but
Bro,
you're right,
of course. But,
yeah.
I mean, dude, he went toe-for-toe with one of the best offenses, the two of the best. That was one of the best games I've ever
maybe
watched.
the best regular season game I've ever seen in my
Fucking
life.
incredible, dude.
So that's where I had to have Jared Goff in my top 10 because I couldn't name 10 quarterbacks I think are just overall better than Jared Goff in this league. And the only reason I have these two guys behind Jared Goff is that they just simply haven't played long enough. But I have an endless amount of respect and reverence for Jaden Daniels. I told you, Jared, before the draft, I was a big Caleb Williams guy.
Yeah.
I said, but if I could take a quarterback in this draft, it would be Jaden Daniels. I have believed in this kid since his college days. There is something, he's not the biggest dude. He doesn't have the greatest arm. He's a freak athlete when it comes to running. He's so great at running. He's
Clutch as
outside of Lamar,
hell.
maybe the best running quarterback in the league.
Yeah,
Straight
for
up.
sure. For sure. Him and Josh Allen, for sure.
Yes. Okay, that's fair. There's something about his poise and his composure, and he plays like an 8-9 year veteran.
He's a polished guy. He played a lot of college football, man.
And he's got a helicopter mom, but I digress.
Yeah.
But this dude, he's got that it, dude. This is why I told you guys before halfway through last season, I would take him over Justin Herbert without a hesitation.
Yes.
Because he's got what Justin doesn't. Justin's got the talent.
Yeah.
Dude throws a javelin, dude.
Dude,
He's an absolute
he was
freak.
great out the gate, too, just like
Yes.
Jaden Daniels was. But
He's got that, like, I need to get this drive. I got to win this game. He's got that. Like,
Dude,
it's
he's
just,
clutch
you
as
see
hell.
it, dude. Like, the game is not too fast for him. In fact, it seems really slow for him sometimes because there's veterans all around him trying to kill him. And
and look what he did for Terry McLaurin.
yes.
Unlocked that man.
Finally made him into what
Dude.
he is, a superstar. Like,
Terry McLaurin is
one of the best receivers in football.
so good, man.
Yeah, I just wish he could have got him earlier in his career.
I
Because
know.
Terry's almost 30 now.
Yeah, he's an 8-year vet almost, I think, yeah.
So Jay Daniels
Crazy.
makes my top 10. It's not even debatable. Like, I'm not even going to have the conversation with anybody if they want to fight me on that because you can't name me 10 quarterbacks that are better right now than Jaden Daniels.
No.
CJ Stroud is the fringe top 10 guy because, look,
Tough year last year, man.
Yes, he has been that guy that now I have to bank on, I believe, more in year one than year two. Because now we've seen extremes. We've seen him be so awesome in year one and then so meh in year two. Now, I will give him credit. He's had horrific offensive line play.
Yeah.
His offensive coordinator has been very inconsistent. Injuries to a lot of his skill position guys. Joe Mixon, Nico Collins, and Tank Dell all got hurt at one point last season.
Yep.
That's a lot to take on, especially, like I said, with a shit offensive line. So I'm going to give him a lot of credit, but I saw a lot of times where he left a lot of meat on the bone. He did not play well in a lot of moments when he had opportunities to be great. And we saw it against the Chiefs both times.
Yeah.
He really, really struggled with pressure. Which I was surprised about because in year one, he was unbelievable against pressure. So I think he's going to be that guy again. I think he's going to get back to being what he was in year one.
You think so?
I do. I have faith in CJ Stroud. To me, he is what Justin Herbert is, but with more poise and composure.
I think the Texans had an absolute shit
They did.
offseason.
I'm talking about him as an
They've gotten
individual.
worse.
I think he's going to play well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's a collective though, man.
I agree. I agree.
I'm going to say so. I think when we revisit this list next season,
Yeah.
I think Caleb Williams is going to be better than C.J. Stroud. This season, especially, he's going to leapfrog him this year.
I don't disagree.
I think this is the season that Caleb Williams puts himself on the fucking.
I think you
map.
might be surprised at what I'm going to say about the Bears and Caleb Williams this year.
Yeah,
when the predictions get out.
Yeah,
here.
for sure. I just think this is when Caleb Williams actually makes his mark this year, and maybe is looked at better than C.J. Stroud. Because I know C.J. Stroud's hot start, and his hot start / MVP rookie season almost.
Yeah.
Got overshadowed by what Jaden Daniels just did and one-upped them the very next season, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Now Jaden Daniels looked at as a guy that could be a Super Bowl contender next year, which is fucking nuts. So Jaden Daniels could be in a top 5 position this coming season, dude. He could definitely be up there. But I like this list. I mean, outside of Jared Goff, I just don't like Jared Goff. I just don't. I know that's the only guy I'd have really issue with on this list is where he's at. I mean, granted, 8 isn't too high,
right?
But we got some people say Baker should be in there.
Look, I'll respond to that because our buddy Shaggy Shane Williams had said that to me.
Baker could be a top. He was awesome the last couple of years, dude.
Here's my here. I hate doing this because you know when you talk about things like this and comparing players, you have to bring out the stuff that you don't always want to focus on.
Yeah,
Baker is one of my favorite players in this league.
So
I
fun to
love
watch.
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
But there is something to the fact, guys, that Baker Mayfield has been on so many different teams to this point of his career, and he has a really bad turnover problem.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Outside of Josh Allen, no one has more turnover since 2018 than Baker Mayfield.
He's a gunslinger.
He is a gunslinger, and he's
Very,
fun.
very Brett Favre. Yep.
Yes, and he makes incredible plays, and he's cool, and he's got the swag and all that. I love Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
But when I'm looking, I guess I should have said it from the beginning of what I base my criteria off of. It's a combination of, it's a gumbo of your talent, what you do in the clutch, playoff performances, and consistency.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you look at all those things, Baker checks a couple of those boxes. But he doesn't check all of them because he's not the most talented guy. Let's be real.
And if we're being honest, too, he's lost in the playoffs 2 great quarterbacks.
That is fair. That is fair.
He's lost
with
to Patrick
inferior
Mahomes.
teams. With inferior teams.
Jared Goff. He's lost to good quarterbacks against really. Honestly, he's always lost to the better team.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he was expected to go win,
sure,
and he lost.
But if you look at every quarterback on my list, I think correct me if I'm wrong, just about every quarterback on this list is more talented than Baker Mayfield, or just as.
I don't think Jared Goff's more talented.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
But Jared's been better.
Yeah.
Jared has been the better quarterback in his career.
You can trust him a lot more than Baker for sure.
So if he's so that's like the one guy on this list that isn't more talented than Baker.
Yeah.
But he's been the better, more consistent quarterback, especially in the playoffs. And Baker's been good in the playoffs.
Baker's not a top 10 quarterback.
No.
He's just not. He's
fringe.
Yeah. Statistically, he's going to be up there every year with passing yards, passing touchdowns, but he does have a high turnover rate.
I will say this, because I did make another list. I'm not going to go into it because
Jordan Love's the same kind of guy. Too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like guys like Jordan Love,
Yep.
Tua Tagovailoa, Brock Purdy, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
The list goes on.
Even Justin Herbert.
I would take Baker over those guys.
I would take Baker over Justin Herbert too. I would trust him to go win a game more than at least make the game
agree.
competitive.
I agree.
That's crazy to say
agree.
because Justin Herbert, I think, is obviously more talented, has the better arm. But dude,
It's not even
Baker's going to
close.
go out there and he's not going to even blink.
It's
He's
not
going to
close.
go make
Herbert
the play.
Herbert, dude, he might be
He is a choke artist,
the
bro.
third most talented quarterback in the league.
Oh, he might have the best arm in the league.
And he's an absolute.
Yeah.
He's
a
ass
choke
cheeks
artist.
in the postseason.
He's 100% a certified choke artist, bro. 100% Angus choke artist.
We've seen it. We've seen it twice now, dude.
Yeah.
He had 3 interceptions in 17 games last season, or 16, 17, whatever he played in, and then threw 4 in one postseason game. That isn't something you do. So everyone wants to talk about Dak Prescott, and it's so funny. I'll hear people crucify Dak Prescott when he plays well in the postseason, but then Justin does that, outdoes his season turnover total in one game.
Yeah.
And we're sitting here got people talking about the Chargers are winning the AFC West. It's phenomenal to me, dude. It's so funny to me, dude, how that works. But yes, I'm with you on that. I think that there are several quarterbacks that could be on this top 10 list. Like Jordan Love was somebody I did consider, but Jordan Love to me is so inconsistent.
No, I think your list is good, man.
Yeah, he had like a 10-game stretch where he was awesome, but he's also had like 20-game stretches where he was terrible.
He's so inconsistent.
Yes, that's what I'm
saying. Granted, he dealt with injuries this past season too. He kind of came back early from that injury in Brazil. Against the Eagles.
That looked bad.
It was bad, yeah. So he was kind of dealing with joint issues his whole, and he's a mobile guy too. Not too mobile, but he's a guy that does kind of depend on his escapability and extended plays. He has that way about him, but Jordan Love's he's a fringe top 13 guy, right? Top 12, top 13 guy. He's got the talent. He could definitely take another step this year, and they can build around him. The Packers always draft so well. They always have weapons. So if they can build on that, he could definitely take another leap this year.
But yeah, Brock Purdy is one I want to talk about real quick.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I know a lot of people want to talk about Brock Purdy as a top 10 quarterback. Guys, I will say this: Brock Purdy has put up statistics that are of a top 10 quarterback. Mm-hmm. But there's a context to Brock Purdy. People give, like, I had a conversation just a couple days ago with a mutual friend of Trevor's and I's at the gym, and he was saying, you can't deny that Brock Purdy has gone to 2 Super Bowls with the 49ers. And the success is something that you have to give him credit for. I do and I don't at the same time, because I have to respect that Brock Purdy has played a role in the Niners getting to 2 Super Bowls. Yes, I'll give him that credit. Or was it 1? I'm sorry, was it just 1?
Who?
Brock Purdy.
What, Super Bowl appearances?
I think it's just 1.
Just 1,
yeah.
yeah.
So I said 2.
Yeah.
He's been at 2 NFC championships. I apologize. Yep. He has had success.
Been successful, yeah.
Yes.
And he's played well in some big games, but
sure.
also has played not so well.
But I think there's something to be said about the fact that the Niners have been to a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo and another NFC championship with Jimmy Garoppolo. Mm-hmm. I think it's more about who Kyle Shanahan is and the system that he plays, sure. Especially when it's a run-heavy offense.
Just needs a puppet master to pull the strings.
Yes, and he has 3 or 4 Hall of Famers on his defense.
Yep.
Like, that is something. And this is what I always said about
Which
Patrick
is a good
Mahomes.
formula. It's a good, it's been, if the Chiefs didn't exist, they'd probably have 2 Super Bowl victories.
Right. And here's the point I'm trying to make is the difference between great quarterbacks and good quarterbacks is you saw Alex Smith with Andy Reid, a perennial playoff team. They win 10 to 12, 13 games, and they would lose in the first round, right? They had 1 playoff win.
That was my comp last week when I was talking about that. My comp for him, it was Alex Smith.
Yes. Good quarterback.
Yeah.
Nothing, like, you don't have a lot
Likeable
of
guy,
yes.
good quarterback, does
solid
his job.
Dude. You'd introduce your daughter to him if you could. You know what I mean? Like, he's a solid guy, right? Salt of the earth dude.
Yep.
And will always be there consistently playing. But you know how the movie ends. You know what I mean? He's always going to lose to the better quarterback. And this is what I was trying to say. Like, Andy Reid was already a Hall of Fame head coach going into his Chiefs career and into the Mahomes era. But what made Andy Reid now, in my opinion, the greatest head coach ever was the fact that he finally had a transcendental quarterback that could do the things that Alex Smith never could do. And that's why the Chiefs have been to the last, 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls. Like, think about
crazy
that.
To say that out loud, bro.
Like, the Chiefs from 2013 to 2017
won
1 playoff game. And since then have been to every AFC championship, hosted 6 of the 7, and have been to 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls and have won 3 of them. Like, they became one of the greatest, if not the greatest dynasty when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
Because of one dude that came in and changed the whole thing. Brock Purdy's not that kind of quarterback. He's not. And that's the difference. Like, I look at these 10 names right here, and I think these guys are guys that I think could lead their team to a Super Bowl. I think they're good enough to do that.
Yeah.
I don't see that in Brock Purdy. I don't see that in Tua Tagovailoa. I haven't seen that in Trevor Lawrence
We
yet.
got a Bo Nix in the chat, too, so.
I might block that person. We've never blocked the person. Well, we blocked one other guy.
I'm not going to lie, man. Fuck the Broncos, but I like Bo Nix, dude.
I like him, too.
Top 10, obviously not, but, like, he's fun to watch, man.
There's a lot of quarterbacks I like in this league.
He's a fun player to watch.
But this is what, remember, I was talking about Trevor, like, when I saw the Jaguars pay Trevor Lawrence all that money, when I saw Brock Purdy get his contract, I go, these teams are idiots.
Yeah.
Because I understand why you feel the need to pay these quarterbacks because of the pressure and expectation, but these guys are not Super Bowl type quarterbacks, in my opinion, guys that can win you the Super Bowl. Trevor Lawrence has not shown me that.
Yeah.
Is he talented as fuck? Yes. So is Justin Herbert. What has he shown you? These guys are not winners. And that's the difference. That I don't think if Brock Purdy said, hey, I got to put the team on my back, I got to go win us a Super Bowl. He's not that. You're not that guy, pal. Like, he's not that guy, pal. And that's why I don't pay those kind of guys. I only pay quarterbacks that I know or I feel really strongly about. This is that dude.
Yeah.
He's him. You know, him. Purdy ain't him. And that's what I'm trying to differentiate with people on this topic at hand. I agree with you vehemently about Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
I think he's got some him in him.
I was going to say, I didn't know if you had another guy that this season, I know that we're not doing our predictions yet, but like a guy that maybe would be in this top 10 list that is not currently.
Yes.
I think Caleb Williams
Caleb
is
Williams.
that guy. Yeah.
It's Caleb Williams, man.
Especially this is the season, man, because they had such an incredible offseason. Great draft. Made so many good moves already. Have revamped that offensive line. You give that dude time to make plays, man. He's going to do it all day long.
And I will say this about Bo Nix real quick, because I'm with you. And whoever put that in the chat.
I think he's good, man.
I think
Bo
he
Nix
is good.
Yeah, I do.
But here's the problem. There was such a surprise factor with him that I think that now that the NFL has film on him,
Sure.
we're going to have to see something else out of Bo.
I do think he's a smart player, though.
He is a smart player.
He does throw some risky passes, but I mean, guys that take risks tend to have success.
I'm not
though.
the biggest fan of his arm. I'm not the biggest fan of his overall talent.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that now the league has film on him, it's going to be very interesting to see what his next act is. Because we were so sure that C.J. Stroud was going to have this baller sophomore year.
Yeah.
And he plays like that.
I will say though, he's in a good situation though.
With Sean Payton,
he's on a team with one of the best defenses in football, an incredible coaching staff.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's got good leadership around him. He's got a good head on his shoulders, smart kid, great athlete, big frame.
Yep.
Dude can run people over. We've seen him truck dudes into the end zone.
He's also like 37 years older.
That's what I'm saying. but that's also a kind of a good thing too for a team that kind of wants to win now and in a very competitive, maybe the most competitive division in football.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I don't think Bo Nix is ever going to be a top 10 guy, but I think he could be a perennial top 15 player every season for sure.
He might already be.
I think
he might already be.
Yeah, man. He had a really good season last year. People don't realize.
If you had to take a quarterback right now between him or Tua Tagovailoa.
Oh, I'm taking Bo Nix.
I know.
For sure.
Exactly.
Especially for his ability to
him or Trevor
upright.
Lawrence. It's close. It's close.
I'm taking Trevor Lawrence there.
It's close, though. Is it not a debate? Is it not a debate?
Which is crazy to say.
Yeah. Now I would take Baker over Bo Nix.
I would take him over both those guys. For
I would take Jordan Love over Bo Nix.
Yes.
I would take Jordan Love over Bo, just off talent alone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would. There's several quarterbacks I would take over him. I would take. No, well, I might take Brock Purdy over him.
Over Bo Nix?
I might take Brock. I like Brock enough.
You put Bo Nix in that system with the Niners, though?
Oh, that'd be nasty. That mobility, that'd be nasty.
That's what I'm saying.
But I think Brock's a better thrower of the football.
Maybe in the short intermediate passes, but Bo's got a great deep shot.
Brock's pretty fucking accurate, though.
No. He's a better intermediate passer for sure.
He likes to throw the seam route, too. He's really
similar
good
to
at
Jared
seam
Goff.
routes.
He's really good at those squeezing those balls in those tight windows over the middle and shit. Yeah, Bo struggles there a lot. And he'll throw across his body too much, and he tries to be Patrick Mahomes kind of shit and try to do that Stafford type shit, cross body type. There are only a few guys can really do that kind of stuff. But I think Bo's a really good athlete, man. I think he does deserve his for what he did this past season. Honestly, making the postseason too, man. That's a big thing for him. You know, I mean, that team made the postseason. You know, give them credit, and they almost beat us twice. You know, very competitive games. You know, who knows, man? And I think I got respect for Sean Payton as a head coach. I know he's a very unlikable guy a lot of times, but the dude has had a great record as a head coach, and I think they're building something over there in Denver. I think Bo Nix could be that dude for them.
It's just his zipper lips that drive me nuts, dude.
He's, like I said, very punchable face.
Yeah, he got those little zipper lips.
Very
and
punchable face.
He always makes that face when he's like calling a play. You know, like a little tight lip thing. It's weird, dude. I don't know how your mouth can be that small. It's really weird how that works. But no, Sean Payton, all respect to him, dude. Like the dude, he's been a good head coach. I don't know if I want to call him great yet, because he had some really good years with Drew Brees, but I feel like there's a lot of but with Sean Payton. Like, they didn't have as much playoff success as I think we thought they did.
Oh, yeah.
Like, with Drew Brees, you should have been to at least a few Super Bowls. Like, I feel like they kind of underwhelmed.
They squandered him a little. It's similar to what Dallas is doing with Dak, bro.
Yeah, and his weird obsession with, like, Taysom Hill, like, they paid him all that money. It was like,
I love Taysom Hill.
And he's fun, but it's like, come on.
Fun for
like,
football. Yeah.
Come on. Like, come on.
Kind of like it's a very
he's
rare.
He's a gadgety player. Like, it's fun, but it's like, is that really like winning football?
The dude just scores touchdowns, though.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. That dude just knows how to find a way to get some way to get in the end zone. He's fun to watch. But chat, get some questions in, man. I've only got one in there right now, so give me some more. I know they'll start flooding in once we get to that segment, but want the people to get some questions in.
I wanted to. The debate rages on, and I'm not sure if we're gonna get our guy Mike or not, which is totally understandable. Like I said, the dudes at ACU are always busy. I feel bad because I had to leave them high and dry on Thursday. I couldn't get on their show. They wanted me on as well, so it's a kind of a phone tag thing we got going on right now. But regardless, we saw the report this week from Matt McMullen, who works for the Chiefs, that Josh Simmons, the Chiefs' first-round left tackle, is further ahead in his rehab than Coach Reed thought he would be at this point, which is obviously good news.
Yeah.
I, of course, had to open my mouth, and I asked a question, and it set Chiefs Twitter ablaze, of course, because it's whatever. But my question was, and this is verbatim, that's great news. So where is he playing? Because the Chiefs just paid Jalen Moore $21 million guaranteed, and Juwan Taylor's making roughly $20 million in 2025. It's a simple question. And of course, like I said, people ran with that, did what they did, which is cool. But my thing is, I don't get how the question was lost on anyone, because it's a legitimate one. This is not me making a statement against Josh Simmons. This isn't me saying I don't want to see him succeed or be the starting left tackle or right tackle. If he's great, if he's awesome, I want him to play. It is plain and simple. What did I say, Trevor, about Xavier Worthy last year? The same thing I'm saying about Josh Simmons. If they are the guy, if they are something, I am going to be happy as shit because that makes the team that much better. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend as if I don't have my concerns, if I don't have my worries about what this player is or isn't, if he's really truly healthy, if he's really truly built for the NFL. Was Josh Simmons an absolute dog at Ohio State?
Yes, sir.
Goddamn yes. That man was throwing other young grown men around. He was an animal. But then he suffered a very serious injury. That raises a red flag for me, initially, as it should anybody. It's also the fact that the Chiefs are a team that I know for certain do not like having expensive backups. They're not a team that wants to have guys sitting on the bench that are making $10 to $20 million a year. That's not something they want to have. And I would beg to say that every team in the NFL that's worth their fucking ilk would not want that. This is a business at the end of the day. And Clark Hunt is a very good businessman. And I'm willing to bet he's not going to want to see a $21 million Jalen Moore or a $20 million Juwan Taylor sitting on his bench. He's going to ask Brett Veach and Andy Reid why that is. Now, granted, things do happen in this league. Guys surprise you. But Josh Simmons was a first-round pick, so it wouldn't be surprising if he gets a starting gig. What is surprising, though, is the way the Chiefs have handled this situation yet again. Because this time around, it's a depth problem, as opposed to last couple of years where they have no depth. But the issue still remains that on the business side of things, it's not adding up.
Yeah.
How the Chiefs have handled this situation. Because if you felt that Jalen Moore was the guy, you don't draft Josh Simmons this year. You draft somebody next year.
Yeah.
If you think that Josh Simmons is the guy, you don't go and pay for Jalen Moore a month or two before the draft. You make sure that you get Josh Simmons. So I understand hedging your bets, but you don't hedge your bets with $21 million. You hedge your bets with going and get a 31, 32-year-old, or go get DJ Humphries back. Go get him for $5 to $7 million, and that way you have a veteran left tackle if Josh Simmons isn't ready or isn't good. You don't spend $21 million on a guy that also in himself isn't proven in this league. Because let's be real, Trevor, we don't really know what Jalen Moore is, right? We have no idea. And he's a former fifth-round pick. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of questions that are around this situation, and for some reason people think that it's wrong to ask the question when I think that it's a legitimate question, because the biggest reason why the Chiefs didn't win the Super Bowl last year was because of the fact that a fucking 32-year-old left guard playing left tackle in the Super Bowl against the best team in the NFL, and I don't want to see things like that happen again. I don't want to see the wrong guys in the wrong positions, or guys that aren't in the right positions at all playing at those positions, aren't worthy of those positions, aren't adequate enough for those positions. I want to see the best five on the offensive line. But how do I know that that's going to be the case this year? Because I understand that you have the pressure of playing your first-round picks, but you also have a dude that's making a lot of money. And I'm wanting to know answers from the Chiefs, and I want to know how they're going to make sense of that. So your thoughts on this? Obviously, like I said, it's great news that Josh Simmons is healing up.
Yeah.
It's great news that he looks like he could be a starter in this league based upon what we're hearing. Mm-hmm. But are you okay, Trevor? And do you think Clark Hunt's going to be okay with sitting a guy like Jalen Moore, who's going to be making some serious money this year as a left tackle?
Well, it's like our guy in the chat, Ruben DeCruz, says, he said it's a good problem to have. No, it's a good problem to have for football purposes, but for business purposes, this is not great numbers wise. That's where the hang up is. If these were just two guys competing and one of them wasn't making $20 million this year,
right?
It'd be a different story. But I don't know, man. The way this thing's going to shake out is going to be really interesting to see. Because ideally you want Jalen Moore to be the guy this season,
right? Because
you're paying him to be the guy at least this season. You can try to work things out next season, maybe see if he needs to go elsewhere or whatever, or he can play another position. But he's still going to be making too much money at any other position other than left tackle. But yeah, man, I don't know. This is I want Simmons to be the guy. I mean, if he can be the guy, that'd be awesome. That's where we drafted him to be. But it is a strange situation because it is a good problem to have for football purposes, like I said. Because you're going to have two really good guys if they're both healthy at that position, the biggest position of need this past offseason. But it's also a lot of money in there, especially for a guy that, seemingly could be a one-year rental making this much money and possibly not even start that's a bad look.
Right.
You know what I mean? Especially if Simmons beats him out and is healthy enough to start and be the guy. That's not ideal. I mean, we brought Jalen Moore over here to be the guy, I think, for this season. That's what I'm expecting him to play out as. I don't think Simmons is going to start right away. I don't think he's going to be ready. I think that's a lot of, just good vibes that the Chiefs are pushing out there, that he's, that's being reported that he's looking good and he's going to be ready. And this is only going to pick up more steam as training camp gets really going and everything. People start reporting on how he looks out there on the field, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, man, business-wise, this is not great for the Chiefs money-wise. It's just a lot of tied-up money. And granted, in a very important position where money is poured out across the league for these players, but it really depends on how this plays out, though, in my opinion. Like, ideally, you want Jalen Moore to be the dude this season. But if he's really good and he's far better than Simmons,
that could also be another problem.
That's a first-round pick that's not working out for us either. You know what I mean? So it's kind of it's a strange predicament that we're in, money-wise and just roster construction-wise, how this is going to play out. Because even if Jalen Moore is really good, and we're going to probably have to move on from him if Simmons was drafted to be the guy, because as he was. So
there's also a theory about, not to cut you off, but there's also a theory that Jalen Moore could be the right tackle of 2026. If everything goes as planned, Juwan Taylor obviously is off the books in 2026. They move Jalen Moore over to right tackle and then have Josh Simmons take over at left tackle.
Yeah,
that would be an ideal situation because Jalen Moore's got talent.
Yeah.
I don't think we're sitting here worried about whether he's talented enough. It's just, is he an actual full-time left tackle in this league? And if he's not, could he maybe transition over to right tackle? And I see a lot of comments in the chat. Guys, there's no debate about it. The number one objective is to protect Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
That's not the debate we're having here. The debate is we're trying to make sense of what exactly is being made of their left tackle position. Because I think it's a foregone conclusion. Juwan Taylor's going to win the right tackle spot. He's going to be the right tackle this year.
For sure.
So it really is up to left tackle. And like Trevor, you're pinpointing, it's like the conundrum you're in is, do you want Josh Simmons to win the job? Because if he does, then you have an expensive backup. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But then Jalen Moore wins the job. Is it because that Josh Simmons isn't good enough or isn't developing like you're hoping him to be? Because let's be real, the one area that Brett Veach has struggled at drafting has been offensive line and primarily tackles.
Yeah.
He has struggled with that. Wanya Morris is not a good pick. I know he's a third-round pick, but he's not been a good player.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. He's
been bad and unhealthy.
Yeah, free agency or in trades, he's been good. Orlando Brown was a Super Bowl winning left tackle for this team, and Joe Thuney was maybe one of the greatest acquisitions this franchise has ever made.
Yeah.
So he's done good with that, going and getting other veteran players. But developing them, I mean, outside of Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, he's not done a very good job at that. Now, he did hit home runs with those guys, so I'll give him that credit.
Sure.
So there is a pressure with this because left tackle is the single most important position on the offensive line.
It is a first world problem.
It is a first world problem.
Sure.
But first world problems are still problems, especially for a team who's still trying to win more Super Bowls.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is just, I think this is a bigger topic than people are leading on, because I just keep hearing everybody on radio and all these shows talking about, it looks like Josh Allen's probably going to be their left tackle.
It's a double-edged sword situation.
Well, then why did you spend those money on Jalen Moore?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I hear Chiefs fans every year say, oh, Lance, whenever I suggest like going and getting a guy, oh, Lance, the Chiefs just don't have the money to do that. I hear that every freaking offseason. Well, that might be true this time around, guys, because the Chiefs just spent all this money on a guy that may not even be their starting left tackle.
So it is a positive, though, that Simmons is healthy and looking good and
yes,
preparing to be available.
Yes.
That's a great thing. So, but the ideal situation would be what for you? It'd be that Jalen Moore is the guy this season because we've already paid him to be the guy this season, and he can and then we can allow Simmons to kind of develop and be the guy maybe next year moving forward.
Do you remember? I'm not answering your question with a question. I'm starting it with a question. Do you remember what everyone's thought was in 2017? That, let Alex Smith be the starter for one more year and let Patrick learn, right? Everybody swears up and down that was the right idea.
The fact that it worked out in hindsight is
exactly
why everyone leans on that ideology.
But my point is, I use this point against everybody now because you know where I stood on it. I wanted Patrick to start day one.
Yeah.
And I will die on that
hill.
He
could have, for sure.
My point, though, is to everyone else's logic, if Patrick Mahomes, in your guys' eyes, needed a year to develop, why doesn't Josh Simmons? That's the question I will ask forever. When I feel there's a veteran player that should probably get the nod first over a rookie and say, let that rookie sit, and everybody has a problem with me saying that, I'm going to use the Patrick Mahomes logic against them.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, then why were you guys wanting Patrick to sit? Patrick is a far greater football player
The injury
than
is
any of these guys.
The injury makes it a little bit of a different situation.
Right. Oh, and it helps my point.
Yeah.
It helps my point even more because what I'm answering your question
Yeah.
directly. I think that
Ideal
2025 should be a redshirt year for Josh Simmons.
For sure.
I think this is a year he sits back, and unless there's injuries to Jalen Moore or Juwan Taylor, he should not play.
Yeah. I mean, but if he's physically able to play,
Yes.
no real hang up with his injury and the patellar tendon and all that shit, I think he should be available. But
Yes.
I think Jalen Moore should be the guy this season. We're paying him already to be the guy.
If Josh Simmons is back to normal, or at least close to it, where he doesn't have any worries about that injury, right?
Uh-huh.
And he's mentally and physically ready to go, he should be giving a fair shot to win the job. But I think if there's any concern at all for both him and the team about him being able to withstand the rigors of a season,
Yeah.
they need to give the job to Jalen Moore to start the season, because that's when the contract also comes into play. You've invested a first-round pick into Josh Simmons, which means he gives you essentially 5 years to build him into something.
Yeah.
You have Jalen Moore on a short contract that is also with real money, $21 million. So give him the nod now. Let Josh Simmons develop his game behind him. And then in 2026, because I've been calling Josh Simmons a 2026 player all along,
Yeah.
let him in 2026 really earn that job at left tackle. And then if Jalen Moore's still around, you guys still like him, you can move him to right tackle as that investment on his final year of his deal. And that gives incentive as far as Jalen Moore and the team is concerned, because they get to see him on a 1-year deal at right tackle when Juwan Taylor's gone. And that way you have 2 established dudes at offensive tackle. That's the best scenario I see for right now. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe Josh Simmons comes in there and is just unbelievably great day one. You know, it's like Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith. They come in there, and it was a foregone conclusion early in training camp, dude.
Yeah.
That the center and right guard are clearly locked up. I remember because Austin Ryder was here and a couple of the veterans in here, and I was having debates with people on radio about who should be starting center and right guard. And I got, guys, it's clearly Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith. It's not even a debate. And they've never looked back. They've never not started at those positions since that day in 2021. Maybe that'll be the case with Josh Simmons. Maybe Josh Simmons will be that guy day one that's like, you know what? Holy shit. The Chiefs just got themselves the next, awesome left tackle in the league for the next 10 to 15 years.
Yep.
They got their guy. Maybe that'll be the case. I'm preparing for the opposite. Or maybe not the opposite, but more of a precautionary tale of Josh Simmons needs some time to really develop his game into becoming a full-time left tackle in this league because of that left injury, that left leg, or that patellar injury. Let him use 2025 as that rehab year of becoming that guy in 2026 and beyond.
So to our guy Ruben Cruz in the chat, he says it's Moore's job to lose. Is it Moore's job to lose, or is it Jalen, or is it Simmons' job to lose?
What I truly believe is that this is Moore's job to lose right now.
Yeah.
Because he
got the bag already.
Yes, he's the veteran, and we know that Andy Reid is big on playing veterans. We know that, especially offensively. So I think I think right now, today, that is the stance. Now, again, let me reemphasize this. If and when they're at training camp and they're seeing that Josh Simmons is the better player,
Yeah.
I think there is a chance that Josh Simmons wins the job. But that again, and I hate repeating myself here, but that again is going to raise the question, then why did you spend all that fucking money on Jalen Moore?
It is a bad look.
Yeah, you could have just gotten DJ Humphries back. You could have went and got another guy that's worth, $5 to $10 million for 1 year.
You know how it goes, though, man. If Joshua Simmons wins the job and he's fucking awesome,
we're not going to be sitting here talking about it.
No one's going to say shit because we're just going to count the hits and ignore the misses.
I agree.
And winners, that's what happens when you win.
But why do you think I'm bringing it up now?
Yeah.
Because I want to have this.
Dude, remember what people were saying about when we traded up for
this.
Patrick Mahomes, the 10 spot? Everyone's like, bro, what the?
Yeah, you still Alex Smith.
Deshaun Watson's still on the clock. You know what I mean? Or still on on the board. This could be a revisionist history situation too. And we'll see what it looks like, but I think it is a good problem to have, but it's also, like I said, it's a double-edged sword situation because it's a good problem, but it's not. Right. Because now we're like heavily invested in this situation. And if one of them flops, or if they're both awesome, what do we do? Then we got decisions to make. Obviously,
I'll answer that.
Most likely go with the draft pick.
If both Jalen Moore and Josh Williams are awesome, I go with Jalen Moore. And here's the reason why: money.
Yeah.
Because if they're both good, and one guy's expensive and one guy's not,
one's a first-round pick.
Well, I'm just saying though, because you have times on your side with Josh Simmons,
right?
So you're like, okay, Well, the guy that is making the money is good too, and we like him a lot, and he's been playing just as great. Let's go with him.
Yeah.
And let Josh Simmons, sit and be that rookie player.
Or
that's
could even be
learning.
a trade asset too if need be. If Jalen Moore is that good.
I'd have to look at the particulars of what the Chiefs would be still on the books for when it comes to the guaranteed money. I would imagine that Jalen Moore would be a player you probably don't want to trade based on the contract because you're probably losing money. Yeah. So you'd be losing the player and the money. But I agree. Like I think that would be something to exercise. But I think if both players are balling out at training camp and the first couple games of preseason, they both look promising. You got to go with the veteran at that point. Because like I said, what's the worst case scenario? You then sit the veteran and then play the rookie. Not the other way around. You know what I mean? Because if you sit the rookie, I think that really hurts his confidence. I think you let the rookie come back up and do, or make the come up. The veteran's already there. This is what, 5th or 6th year for Jalen Moore, 27 years old. Let him
playing behind maybe the best left tackle football.
He may be unproven, but he's more of an established player, obviously, than Josh Simmons to this point. So I would do that if that was the case. But a lot of conversation to be had about this, man, and I think there's a lot of things that we can talk about from the wide receiver room, defensive line room, cornerbacks. There's a lot of interesting things going on, which is why I think it's probably time, Trevor. Let's just get into Speak It now, man. I'm sure there's at least a couple questions. And if you guys do have more questions, man, drop them now. We'll get them on the screen, and we'll talk to you guys. Let's have a little bit of a conversation. What's going on in Speak It?
Yeah, so don't have much going on in the chat right now as far as questions. The chat's been live today, and I appreciate you guys. There's been a lot of other internal dialogues going on in the chat.
Yeah.
But if you guys got some questions, definitely get some in because right now I don't have much. But so if you guys have any questions about the center or the offensive line situation, the left tackle situation, whatever, maybe you have a disagreement with Lance's top 10 quarterbacks, get some questions in there. But as of right now, we just got our guy, Cell32 Alt. I compared Brashad Smith to Dexter McCluster. What thoughts on that?
I would answer that with a question. What makes you compare him to Dexter McCluster? Because I don't see that comparison. Brashad Smith is a much more physically gifted player than Dexter McCluster. He's bigger, stronger, faster, more of a reliable catcher out of the backfield. And Dexter was fine catching the ball out of the backfield. In fact, that was one of his strengths. But Dexter didn't have any size to him. He didn't really have any strengths to him. He was more of just a glorified, gadgety player. Brashad Smith is drawing comparisons to guys like Alvin Kamara, Brian Westbrook. He's getting high praise, even though he was a 7th-round pick.
So he fits that prototype, but not all those guys. Just we remember Darwin Thompson.
Yeah,
similar vibe. We thought he kind of could have been that similar player.
Now I will say that I wasn't this wasn't my favorite move because, like I told you guys before, I wanted to see the Chiefs draft a running back in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round.
Yeah, we wanted to do it all.
I didn't want to see a 7th-round pick being the running back. But again, we have seen Brett Veach, to his credit, land a starting / Super Bowl winning running back in the 7th round in Isaiah Pacheco before. So I'm sure he can do it again.
Yeah.
And Isaiah Pacheco's been more than good enough to help this team win Super Bowls and get back to Super Bowls. So if Brashad Smith is somebody like that, then I welcome it with open arms. And the cool thing about this pick is it gives the Chiefs everything they need in the running back experience. You have Kareem Hunt, who's the boom back, the guy that gets you those short, ugly yards. You have Isaiah Pacheco, who's the electricity, the guy that can run and, absolutely jet by guys. And then you have Brashad Smith, who's a guy that's basically a glorified wide receiver out of the backfield. So they have 3 different personalities and traits in the backfield, basically everything you need out of a running back, basically what Kareem Hunt used to be in one. Yeah. You have that in 3 bodies now. So I think that's the uniqueness of the Chiefs running back room right now.
Agreed. I think he could definitely – he's an upside dart throw guy. I mean, that's kind of what he is at this point. I mean, running back – and also, man, running back's such a deep – every year now it's seeming like the running backs don't go like they used to. So there's so much talent that just falls to the bottom of the draft. Yep. And it's just a pool you can kind of pick from a lot of those guys. But, I mean, I like the pick. It's just you need to temper our expectations. Granted, Dexter McCluster is a good comp as far as, his body, what he looks like on the field, his skill set. I mean, Dexter McCluster had a solid couple of years with the Chiefs, but fizzled out pretty quickly. John Harrison with the question. Center is a crucial smart position on the O-line. Who's the backup if Humphreys gets hurt?
Probably Hunter Norzad, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
I think that's
a name we haven't said much, and he hasn't really been on the field much.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you. That's not something I've been really worried about, though, just because of Creed's ability to stay healthy. Creed, I don't think Creed's missed a single game in his career to this point. Now I'm going to go ahead and knock on this wooden table. Yeah. But, Creed's been a very healthy guy and available every week since he started in 2021. But I would imagine it's probably it's probably going to be Hunter Norzad. Yeah. I don't think a guy like C.J. Hansen's going to be good enough to do it. That's probably the name I'm going to go with.
Yeah, I don't know who. I mean, that is a good question too, because granted, when is Creed really banged up? Even when Creed's been banged up and really hurt, he's still gone out in there to play. The centers are different, man. Yeah,
and also, no matter who you bring in to be the replacement, if he was to get injured, it's going to be a significant drop off no matter what.
Yeah.
So it's.
Yeah, replacing Creed is tough, especially knowing Pat's cadence and all that.
And just by the way, I went and looked it up. 𝚂𝙿 Smith is 5'10", 196 pounds. Dexter McCluster was 5'8", 170
Yeah, I was
pounds.
going to say, he's a little bit bigger than...
Pretty significant. 26-pound difference, 2-inch difference in height. So, it's pretty significant difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. He's bigger, stronger, faster. Just a better athlete. 𝚂𝙿 Smith's just a better athlete as Dexter. We like Dexter.
Dexter could fly.
Yeah, he could fly. He was fun. He was a fun player. He was a fun player.
Really good dude. Yeah, for sure. Carlos Ferrero, what up, buddy? I fear Broncos might give us a challenge this year. I mean, they gave us a challenge this past year. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, of course, this division's just continuing to get better, bro, and that's just going to up the ante for the Chiefs to continue to get better too. I mean, when you're at the top, it's tough. I think the Broncos are for sure going to give us a challenge this year. Like I said, they just did last year. Both those games came down to a couple game-saving plays, right? And but I do think the Chiefs will be better this year, especially offensively. But yeah, I mean, the Broncos, this whole division's going to be outside of the Raiders. I don't really expect too much. I mean, we had a unnecessary close call with them this past season, but the Broncos are they're a good team. That's a really good defense, really well coached coaching staff, really good coaching staff over there that knows how to put together solid defenses. One of the best DB rooms in the league right there. So yeah, man, they're going to give us challenges for sure. I fully expect that to continue.
I think I'm going to shock a lot of people when I give you guys my AFC West predictions this year. I've already started to form them, and depending on, obviously, unforeseen training camp / preseason injuries, we pretty much have an idea of what these teams are going into the next season. So all I will say is wait till September. There's going to be, it's crazy. It was funny. These last couple of weeks I've been busy as shit, you know that, and you're obviously busy all the time too. But I did take a little bit of time this week and looked at just scheduling and rosters and things of that nature, and this might be my most insane year of predictions for teams that I've ever had. And I had the fucking Browns in the playoffs last year, so that should tell you something.
You did.
So that should tell you. But yeah, just stay tuned, Carlos, and everybody else that wants to get our predictions, because you know our rule here. We don't give them out until September, that week before the week 1 starts. But I will say this. I will not agree or disagree with your Broncos take on that one, because I have some extremes with the Broncos, Raiders, and Chargers this year that I think are – Trevor has no idea either, so it's going to be fun. I can't wait for September, dude, because that's going to be another prediction show we're going to have.
That was a great political
you like that?
answer there.
I made a stance without making a stance, you know what I mean?
Running for state, guys.
We're going to take Milwaukee. Yeah. We're going to take Wisconsin. Yeah! Let's do it.
Ruben DeCruz, does Elijah Mitchell make the team?
No. I don't trust his body. I don't think he's good enough. I know that sounds disrespectful because he's had some good seasons in this league, but the man has missed, I think, 37 games over the last 2 or 3 years. I think he's a body to have in there just for competition, for training camp competition, but I do not expect him to have a roster spot on this team because, quite frankly, I think the Chiefs are going to be leaning into the tight end room this year. They're going to have as much depth on offensive line as possible and defensive line as possible. So when you have those 3 position groups loaded up, I think the Chiefs are going to carry 4 tight ends. They're going to have 5 to 6 wide receivers. I think they're going to have 10 offensive linemen, 10 defensive linemen. I think that's where it's going to start to, the math isn't going to work out for the Chiefs to carry more than 3 running backs. And I think that it's pretty safe to assume that Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, and 𝚂𝙿 Smith are probably making the team. Maybe 𝚂𝙿 Smith, 7th round pick, doesn't make the team. I have full intentions of believing that dude's going to make the team. And what that means, Elijah Mitchell and guys like them are going to probably either he ain't practice squad qualified, but he'll probably have to go and make another roster because there's always injuries and training camps and things of that nature. Some other team's going to pick him up immediately and he'll go and play.
If
for
he's
them.
not already hurt by it.
Right, exactly.
I like the kid, but yeah, he just is a guy that just has a CVS receipt list of injuries already in his young career. But as an explosive, talented dude, when healthy, though, I'll give him that. He needs to come from a good system, so it is what it is, though. Matthew Bridgman, what game do you think will be our toughest this upcoming year? It's easy answer for me.
I think the Bills games are always the toughest.
Yeah.
The Bills match up with the Chiefs so well, and that is their Super Bowl.
Yep.
So if I was to give you one, it's in Buffalo.
And they almost always beat us in the regular season, so I mean that's always going to be a tough one to digest. It always sucks losing to them. But.
I'll tip my cap to the Bills, man, because they give the Chiefs a run every single regular season for sure.
Yeah, and I think I think most people would pick that game just because those reasons. I think the Ravens games will be tough, probably too. Those games are always because it's elite quarterback going against elite quarterback, and then you got the coaches that know each other really well, good coaches as well.
Yep, they have the Eagles, they have the Commanders, they have some really good teams on their
great
schedule.
rosters. Yeah. So I think those got to be the game. It easily is the Bills game for me. Those are always like there's so much angst going into those games.
A lot of bad blood.
Yeah, for sure,
and a lot of respect at the same time.
Exactly,
a lot of respect.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's easily the Bills game for me as well. Next question, Dustin Orton. What's up, buddy? Usually you're at the top of the list, but he didn't make it today. He got in a little late. Speak it. Planning on going to week 2 against the Eagles with an avid Eagles fan. Good luck. Think they are worse or same or better than last season? Also, the Chiefs lean into the revenge game. And can the Chiefs lean into the revenge game mentality?
Look, I will answer the second part of that question first. I don't buy into that with the Chiefs because they're a team that have bigger aspirations in hand. In fact, I would be shocked if I think the energy is going to be high. Obviously, the Chiefs are going to go in that game with full intentions of winning. If I'm not mistaken, that's a Monday Night Football game too against the Eagles. So that's going to be an amped up game. But I don't think the revenge is going to be the factor for the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are looking at facing the Eagles in the Super Bowl again. That's when, if they were to face the Super Bowl again, then I'm leaning all into the whole revenge factor. I don't think they look at it like that in the regular season because I'm going to be honest with you guys, this sounds super arrogant, but it's just the truth. The Chiefs don't view regular season games the same way other teams do. Yeah. They don't look at it as, okay, here we go. Even though they say that, you know what I mean? Even
very
though
much the Patriots. How it got with the Patriots too.
They look at the regular season as this is a stepping stone to us to get to our ultimate goal, which is to the Super Bowl and win another Lombardi. Yeah. So I don't think they look at it that way. When it comes to the Eagles being the same, worse, or better, look, what I will say is this, because I'm not going to give a lot of things away. They lost not only a lot of pieces on the defensive side, which is going to be tough for them because their defense is what really carried them to the Super Bowl, for being honest. But it's also the fact that they lost both coordinators.
Yep. And
that is a big thing for a team that, in my opinion, has a very overrated head coach. I like Nick Sirianni, actually. There's things about him I like, that fiery, the way he is. I like that style. I think he's a nuisance also at the same time. I think he's also very, sophomoric. But there's traits about him I do like. Mm-hmm. And it obviously works. But I think his biggest strength has been, in both Super Bowl trips, he had great coordinators. I don't think that's going to be the case this time around.
When he's got a GM that drafts his fucking ass off.
Howie Roseman's maybe the best GM in football.
Probably is the best.
Probably is. Outside of Brett Veach, I would say that Howie's probably the best.
They're neck and neck, those two guys.
So he's got some advantages here. This team's still, I'll go ahead and spoiler alert it. The Eagles are going to be good. They're going to be a good team.
Yeah.
But they lost a lot, and I think their biggest losses are at the coordinator positions. And that is something I'm going to be very interested in watching, because Nick Sirianni in himself is not an X's and O's guy. He's a rah-rah guy. Yeah. He's more of a Mike Tomlin type head coach. And I say that with respect because Mike Tomlin's been a great coach for a long time.
Yeah.
But that is more of his style.
And I'm
wondering, I'm wondering if that's going to translate as well when you don't have, the guys he's had, Shane Steichens of the world, what's his name that was his offensive coordinator this last year that's now the Saints head coach. He played at Boise State. I can't believe I'm not.
Moore, right?
Yeah, Kellen Moore. Thank you. Kellen Moore. When you don't have those guys anymore, literally,
Yeah.
It's going to be really difficult, man. It's going to be really challenging.
It's the same thing with Dan Campbell. Same kind of coach.
Yeah.
Rah guy.
He loses Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn.
Same situation.
What's going to happen with the Lions? These are things I'm paying
NFC
attention to.
can look very different, dude. I
Yes.
think Washington is coming, just so you know. I think Washington.
There's a team on the West Coast that I'm looking at,
Yeah.
and that's all I'll say. Been big on it for a couple years now, so I'll just say that.
For sure.
But no, that's what I'm looking at when it comes to the Eagles in particular. Is will they be able to overcome the loss again of another awesome offensive coordinator? Because they lost Shane Steichen. What happened? They went down, missed or lost in the first round of the Buccaneers.
Yep.
Then they went and got Kellen Moore. What happens? They get back to the Super Bowl. I'm wondering if there's a trend here. You know what I mean? I'm wondering if that's a trend, and we'll definitely have a season to talk about that. We'll have a prediction show to talk about that as well.
Yeah, John Harrison chimes in and says, "No, the Eagles game is 3:30 Fox."
Thank you,
game.
John.
Yeah.
Thank you, John.
And then Ruben DeCruz, guys, does Andy keep a fullback this year? Is Crocky ready?
Look, you guys knew I never bought into him. I'm sorry.
We tried it last year. I don't think it's. I think when Kareem Hunt kind of came back too, I think that kind of put a nail in it as well.
And the kid's got a fumbling problem.
Yeah, unfortunate. I like him, man.
It's whatever. I was never the biggest believer.
The game is kind of, that's become more of an obsolete position to be honest. Outside of like the Niners with what's his name?
Juszczyk.
And the Ravens use what's his name too?
Well, Ricard.
Ricard is
who's like 400 pounds.
Those guys, yeah, that's what I'm saying. For those kind of teams that are more run first offenses,
exactly,
that makes a lot of sense. But when you got Patrick Mahomes, dude, and I think a lot of that too was more for some pass pro situations as well, having a bigger body back there, the extra little chip blocks. But even that didn't really work out to our favor as well. So we were testing some things last year, but I think this year is going to be.
Yeah, you saw Anthony Sherman was still here when Patrick took over. That was more because of the Alex Smith era, which the Chiefs were more of a run centric offense at that time.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't. To answer your question, no, I don't expect that because also we've seen the Chiefs utilize their tight ends at fullback as well.
Yeah.
So we'll see, Noah Gray, Travis Kelce, probably Jared Wiley line up at H-back or fullback in certain formations.
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect them to hold on to an actual fullback. No, I don't expect that.
Yeah. That is it for the questions, man.
Okay. Hey, that was about 30 minutes worth of questions.
Yeah.
It's okay, guys. It's a Saturday. We're having fun. You guys have plans. We just appreciate you guys being here at all and giving us anything you guys have for us. So we'll take it, man. There's been weeks where we've had 2-hour speak it segments, and then there's times we have 30-minute segment. It's okay. Like, we appreciate whatever you guys have for us. So everybody that had a question, everybody that's been chiming in, like Trevor said, the chat's been lively regardless. Dude, we just appreciate you guys being here. So thank you so much. We do this every week. I tell you, the top of every single show, it's at the bottom of every single show. If you've not already done it, go to YouTube, hit us up with the Spoken Podcast, and subscribe to our show. Hit the notification button so every time we go live, you guys see that we go live. Hit the like buttons, hit all the buttons, man, but get in the comments as well, man. We really want you guys, and we mean it when we say this every week, to be a part of the show where it's a community-driven show, conversation-driven show. We're not talking at you. We're talking with you. So we appreciate it every single week, guys. So with that, Trevor, we have one more order of business to get to. What is it called? Hold this L. Each and every episode, we finish off every single episode with a series of L's in the world of sports. Whether those L's are friendly L's or not so friendly L's in the world of sports, we promise you, who's ever holding those L's in the world of sports deserve those L's in the world of sports. Trevor Twidwell, who's holding the L for you this week?
It was a slower week.
Yep.
As far as L-worthy content, in my opinion, but I'm gonna go with Brittany Griner here.
Oh.
I was gonna go with TNT. I kind of throw a little bonus L in there because TNT is losing maybe the greatest board of sports talking. Not necessarily analysts, because I don't even call them analysts. Those guys are just like
entertainers.
It's just the best sports TV content I think maybe ever. As far as a group of men,
I think it's close.
Yeah, I mean, as far as just yeah, so
dudes being dudes.
I just wanted to throw that one out there. I almost went with that one, but that was less of an L, more of just an end of an era type thing. And there's change is inevitable, and that's just kind of how that goes. Those guys are going to be great no matter where they go. So just end of an era type situation. But Brittany Griner, and listen, man, I'm not shitting on the WNBA. I want female sports. I want women's sports to be great. I don't consume a lot of it, in my opinion, or not my opinion, but personally, I just don't consume a lot of it. But I know there are some people that do. But there's just I just consistently see things that just continue to bring down the quality of it, and it's unfortunate because when a lot of the good things that come into that, especially WNBA, it gets pulled down by a lot of the heavy dead weight of it. And unfortunately, Brittany Griner, she's been a superstar for this sport for a long time, but it's starting to get to a point where she's really starting to become a wet blanket of this game. And the Atlanta Dream is the team that she plays for. They're fighting to get back to a 500 record. Not a great team by any means. They hosted the Dallas Wings on this past Saturday. And while they held a 7-point lead going into the halftime break, star center Brittany Griner wasn't in particularly a good mood. Griner had 10 points, 5 boards at half, but an offensive foul called on her with 90 seconds to play was at the top of her mind as she got ready to head to the locker room. Griner stopped for an interview with CBS Sports Network as she walked off the court, but wasn't going to let an interview prevent her from letting the refs know how she felt about the late foul call as they left the floor. Griner walked away from the interview to talk about the hold she got called for and was not satisfied with what she heard back from the referee, ending discussion with the firm be fucking better before returning to answers to the questions. I'm just going to play the interview real quick for you guys.
Right now you have 10 points, 5 rebounds. We see the Atlanta Dream as being very... Right now she's talking to the refs about holding. We're going to send it back to you guys. Very important questions.
So you can't hear. It's not best. It'd be better if I can actually show you guys a video. I probably should have had that on here, but the whole time the interviewer is obviously being disrespected by Brittany Griner. Unfortunately, she's just not even paying attention, like she doesn't even exist, and she's seemingly doing the too small thing to the refs as they're walking by, and she's screaming at the refs, "Be fucking better." And the refs are just giving her side eye the whole way as they're walking to the tunnel. It's just a really bad look, honestly. It's very disrespectful. And honestly, even if this was in men's basketball, I'd be saying this is a bad look. This is disrespectful. I don't see a lot of this. I mean, you see a lot of things in game going on with men's sports.
Yeah.
You know, the Draymonds and all these guys getting refs face and things like that. Technicals happen. But like during an interview, as the refs are walking by, you're going to disrespect these grown men that are trying to do their job the best they can, and like doing the too small symbol. It's just it was very corny. It was very just didn't need to take place. It's a bad look for the sport, in my opinion. Continues to just be kind of a cringy person, in my opinion, man. No offense to her, but like, and listen, I'm not disrespecting female sports. I think that it's come a long way. I think
sure, we've given a lot of L's on the show. And about 99% of them are dudes.
Well, I'm just saying, like, as a father of a girl, like as a father of a young girl who plays volleyball, I support female sports. I love it, but like the WNBA has had some really, the ones that they prop up tend to not to be. I don't know. It's just there's some marketing problems there, and I think a lot of it is because the personalities just are corny and cringy.
Why do you think Caitlin Clark is so great for the WNBA?
Well, why do you think she gets so much hate amongst her peers?
Exactly.
Which is that's a problem too, man. It's the players themselves that are just kind of a wet blanket.
It's the crab syndrome, dude.
100%.
Yep.
So yeah, I recommend if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's hard to watch. She's just like trying to like but like sun these grown ass men. You know what I mean? It's just it's secondhand embarrassment, a lot of it. And I was like, bro, watching that, I was like, man, like be fucking better. Like yelling at these grown men as they're walking to the tunnel. Like, what is going on here, man? You had 10 fucking points. Like, relax. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's chill. So, be fucking better, Brittany Griner, and be more of a leader for your sport, in my opinion. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but that's just my personal opinion. It was secondhand embarrassment watching that. So for that, Brittany Griner, do me a solid favor and hold this L.
Well, mine's going to a guy, because I'm not sexist like Trevor.
Yeah. So. Hell yeah.
So full disclosure, we don't get very personal on the show very often, but Trev's been married before. I haven't been. Trev's got kids. I don't. I think that there are certain levels of success in being both versions of who we are. I think that everybody views things how they want to, and that's fine. I've always had a very strong issue with people that try to associate your marital status or your family status, and they try to associate that with what your professional life is and what your success level is. And I got a little triggered this week about it because, and I have been a big fan of Colin Cowherd for the longest time, but that's always something he has said as well, and I've always hated it. Like, I seriously hate it.
It's ironic coming from him.
Yes, yeah, we can get into that. But Kendrick Perkins decided to use the same take this week on his show right next to Stephen A. Smith, who, by the way, is not married. And this is something that he had to say, unfortunately, on this show.
Here's the bigger picture, right? You got to check the boxes when you're the face of the league. Yes, we know you got to have your signature shoe. You're going to be in commercials. You're going to have the highlights. You got to have the game. But you know what else you got to have? You got to be a role model, right? And things outside the lines matter. Now, if you go down the list of all the faces of the league in the history of the game, you look at Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Shaq, LeBron, Steph, what did they all have in common? While they was playing in the league, they all were family men. They all were married with kids. And if you think that don't play a role as far as the role model, this is facts. This is not something that I'm making. Hold on. But this is not something that I'm making up. Now, what happened to them after they retired? That's their business. But while they are playing or was playing, they were family men, married with kids.
Well, let's say this. First of all, let's be fair here. Here's what I mean by that. I get where you're coming from, and I understand that. When you talk about being the face of the league, it's not just about your game on the court. It's about what you do off the court. I think that we ain't gonna get into anybody's business. We don't do that on this show. No. But what we will say is that sometimes you've had people in the modern era who've made mistakes because in the age of social media and beyond, fellas, they put too much of their business out there. They talk a little bit too much, and you letting people in to stuff that they don't need to be in. Ain't none of our damn business, okay? But when we were talking about Crown and Ant-Man, we were just talking basketball.
We get rid of shows like Around the Horn for this. We fire journalists and storytellers so former players can go on here and make asses of themselves like that. So basically what Kendrick, if I'm not mistaken, maybe somebody could correct me if I'm wrong here, but according to Kendrick Perkins, the reason why some guys are further along in their careers or more professional or things of that nature is because they're married and have kids. Okay. I have a list here of athletes that aren't or weren't married and or began having kids while still being professional athletes. Maybe you've heard a couple of these names before. Derek Jeter.
That was on the top of my list.
George Brett. Travis Kelce. Layla Ali. Curtis Conway. Ben Scrivens. Steffi Graf. Misty May. Andre Agassi. And there's Aaron Rodgers. Those are just a few like the all-time greats at what they've ever done that either don't or didn't, haven't, maybe never will have a wife and kids. Some of them have afterwards. That's a bigger list. In fact, twice as long of a list than what Perkins gave you. And what's even funnier about it is he named people, and it's funny because Stephen A. squeamishly had to correct what Perk said in that because he said that we don't want to talk about their personal lives too much. We don't get into it because Perkins opened a bag that nobody wants to open because he mentioned Kobe Bryant. And R.I.P., because trust me, it sucks that man lost his life, and I have adamant respect for Kobe Bryant because of the growth that he had to accumulate through some horrific decision-making while married and being a father. It's kind of weird that you would bring that up, man. I got triggered on it because that, in full disclosure, I am a dude that hasn't had either one of those things happen in my life. But it's very disrespectful for all people because here's my question. What if a professional athlete lives in a country that doesn't allow gay marriage and they're gay? What if a woman can't have kids or a man and they're infertile?
Or what if a man is so successful at a sport that it costs him his marriage, like Tom Brady?
How about that? It's just these general concepts and takes are so fucking stupid because there's no one person in this world that lives the same life, has the same path. But there are a lot of people that experience very similar success. Even though they grew up way differently or have way different. You're going to tell me right now Kevin Durant, who's one of the greatest basketball players of all time, because he doesn't have a wife and kids, isn't professionally as long in the tooth as some of these other guys?
A lot of people call Wilt Chamberlain one of the best of all time, right?
What did he do? A lot of ladies. Let's just put it like that. So I'm just being real with you guys for a second, because when these kind of conversations get put on platforms like this, I sometimes tend to get a little bit honest about it, and it really pisses me off. I mean, I'm proud as hell. One of my other brothers is married with a bunch of kids, but Trevor and I have our youngest brother, never been married, never had kids. Dude's doing great.
He's a loser.
He's a POS. No, what I'm saying is I just push back every time I hear something like this, because it is always going to be so inaccurate.
It's a low IQ take.
It's a low IQ take, and I think that Perkins, being a former player, got respect for him for being that, but this is just another example, and again, what I started this take on. This is another reason why I hate the former athlete marathon we're on now, where all the ESPN's doing is just going and hiring a bunch of former athletes just because they're former athletes. Yeah. Sure, they might be terrible at their job, but that doesn't stop the fact they still hire these people and then get rid of Tony Reali. Get rid of Woody Page.
Bill Plaschke.
But meanwhile, the best analyst that ESPN has is Mina Kimes, who did not play pro sports. But that woman X's and O's the shit out of an NFL game. That woman knows, she's forgotten more football than I'll probably ever know. Isn't it ironic how that works? The most knowledgeable people you got, the most respectable people, are people like Brian Windhorst, or Adam Schefter, or Mina Kimes, Rachel Nichols. The list goes on, man. These are reporters. These are people that have been on the ground wanting to talk and learn this game at a very honest level. They just maybe weren't born 6'8", and they didn't have the talent some of these people had. That makes them more knowledgeable? No, because obviously this is a prime example of it. So for this, Perk, do me a solid and hold this hell. Because it's embarrassing, dude. Especially when I have a list that can counteract everything you just said and debunk everything you just said. Go tell Derek Jeter that. Go show him that take. He'll laugh his ass off next to his $700 million.
Then he'll give you a gift basket.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, Jeets. Yeah, Jeets. God damn it, this was a fun show, guys. Not one of our longest shows, but it was what we had to get out, man. And I think we had some good conversation. We appreciate you guys. I saw Ruben always does a sign off. We appreciate him. Yep. Everybody that's in the chat, you guys make the show what it is, man. You guys make it fun for us here, and that's why we show
Harrison up. Made an appearance.
Johnny's in the house, bro. It's always a good thing. So we appreciate our unofficial statistician, Johnny Harris, our capologist, if you will. Our jack of all trades, our John of all trades.
Keeping us honest, man.
Yeah. Honest Jonas, you know what I mean? That's our guy. So we appreciate all you guys, man. No Julia Gooley, dude. I'm kind of sad, man. I hope she's doing
2 weeks in a row, it feels like.
It's kind of sad. Julia, we miss you. Hopefully you're doing all right. Hopefully all you guys are doing all right. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Trevor and I are going to probably not remember a lot of tonight, but it's going to be still fun no matter what. But we have had a blast with you guys like today. Thank you guys for always kicking our Saturdays off the way it does, man. I always feel jolted and rejuvenated after every single show, man, because, life, man, it'll bog you down. You get tired, you get stressed out from your week. But when we come here, man, it's just free floating. We get to have a great conversation. It's therapy for me, man. I can honestly tell you guys that. This always makes me feel like I'm in my happy place, and I appreciate you guys for creating that for us. If you guys aren't on Facebook or on Twitter with us, man, change that. You see at the bottom of the screen right there. That's where you can follow us, and that's where you can join us in the conversation, because the conversation never ends, even when the show does. So we appreciate every single one of you, and we thank you guys for being here for another episode. For Trevor Twidwell, for the great Clay Windler that puts all this together on the back end of things at Red Tribe Cinema, for the entire Starcade Media family, I am Lance Twidwell. Episode 314 of the Spoken Podcast is done, finished, and finito. And until we are back here in 1 week's time for episode 315, we out of this bitch.
Later.